Hello and welcome back to another video. Well, after a long wait, the anticipation is finally over and the latest Dreamcast shooter has been released. Ghostblade by HuCast Games. But is it any good? Well, hopefully this review will shed some light on the fact. For the purpose of this review, I am going to be splitting my opinion in half though. One half will be regarding the game as a hardcore shooter fan may view it. I am in no means a hardcore shooter fan myself. I do love the genre. However, I am certainly not a master at playing the games. The other half of my opinion will look at the game as more a casual basis. More than likely just a Dreamcast fan, is it worth buying for that? We'll start by taking a closer look at the game box, and then we'll have a look at the game. Right, well here's the regular edition of the game. You do get a limited edition which comes with a CD soundtrack and a collector's edition, which I'll talk about in a little while. The box itself is pretty cool, quite a nice artwork on it. On the back it's pretty basic, got a few screenshots and a picture of the ship. They have learned a lesson from Redux and actually gave yourself a manual this time. It's quite a lovely manual, full colour, and it's got a few nice pictures. It's not a great deal in it obviously, but it's much better than the bit of toilet paper that came with Redux, which was horrendous. So let's crack on with the game. Right, first off I'd just like to apologise for this ghetto style video. I've just recorded the footage off my TV and I'm basically just making up this review as I go along. I'm only really making it because I know a few people out there are interested in my view on the game. We'll start with the game itself. There's 5 levels, each level has an end boss. There's 3 playable ships. Each ship has a different shot pattern, very similar to Dodonpachi. If you've played any Dodonpachi game, you'll be familiar with the ship types here. You have a spread shot, a wide shot and quite a narrow shot. The ship itself also has several power-ups you could pick up and also missiles that you can pick up. Talk a little bit more about them later on. As you can see in the footage here, the ship has a spread shot. This is spread shot ship, and also it has a button where if you hold it down it has a more focused shot. Very similar, almost identical in fact, to the laser ability in Dodonpachi. But that's no bad thing because pretty much every game nowadays has that pattern. So, and it does, it's a tried and tested formula and it works. The game itself looks pretty nice. The box claims that it's displayed in 480p. It can be played through an RGB SCART or VGA, and I play it through a CRT telly and it does look really good, I will give it that. Does look quite nice. This video obviously doesn't do it any justice. It does have 2 orientation modes. It has a Yoko, which is horizontal as you can see here, and also a vertical mode, a Tate mode. The only problem with Tate mode is that the screen does stretch a little, but the image quality is still good enough. As you can see, the one problem I have with the Yoko mode here is that the sprites are quite small. I am playing it on a 29-inch TV, but Tate mode is really where it's at to get the full sort of effect of the graphics and whatnot. Right, unfortunately this is the part where it goes fairly south. I'm going to be quite negative in this review. I'm probably being overly harsh on it, but that's only because I was really looking forward to this game. I had high hopes for it. I don't really know why I had high hopes for it, because HuCast, the developer, are notorious for being pretty terrible when it comes to developing games. They've only really released the same game 4 times in Dux, and they've basically fucked up every release they've ever done. They fucked up. But the reason I was kind of optimistic is because their sister company, NG Dev Team, which basically one half of the brothers that produces HuCast, also develop games for the Dreamcast, and their games are pretty good. Fast Striker, Gunlord and even Neo XYX were pretty good games, so I had high hopes for this being a vertical shooter this time. However, this is where the negativity starts. I'll start with the most obvious. For hardcore shooter fans, this game is ridiculously easy. There's only one. There's a normal mode and a novice mode. Basically the difference between the two is a novice mode has an auto bomb feature. But the normal mode itself is ridiculously easy. I was able to clear the game on my second go, and I could 1cc it now, no problem. It really is. The first 3 levels are a complete walkthrough. Stage 4 gets a little more difficult, and stage 5 is just ridiculously easy again. It's a real shame because they really should have had a hard difficulty in the game. For that regard, for Shmup enthusiasts, there's just no replay value for it at all. On the other hand, for casual shooter fans, it's a good game to start with because it is so easy. You could get pretty far on it, even if you totally suck at shooter games. Each of the levels does have an end of level boss. However, these are very underwhelming. They require no skill to beat, to be honest. Stage 2 boss is just ridiculous. As you probably see from the footage earlier, the stage 1 boss could be beaten without even moving. The final boss is again pretty easy. Stage 4 boss is probably the hardest. Bosses do look kind of poor in Yoko mode. In Tate mode they do look a bit more sort of enlarged. But yeah, they're not the greatest bosses at all. The shot patterns, the whole game actually, the shot patterns are incredibly weak. It almost appears as if the shots are trying to avoid you. It's really actually disappointing. I'm a big fan of the older style shooters. I'm not a huge fan of the Cave Manic style shooters. I prefer sort of the PC Engine sort of era. And so I wasn't too bothered the fact that there wasn't that many bullets on screen. But yeah, it's definitely a letdown when it regards to the amount of bullets and the bullet patterns to avoid. The hit detection in the game is actually pretty good, certainly in Yoko mode here. I felt like I could kind of weave through the bullets fairly easy. However, in Tate mode it was slightly more unforgiving, and I did die a few more times because of it. Music in the game is a bit of a mixed bag as well. I was fairly disappointed because the trailer suggested that it was going to have sort of a hard guitar riff sort of soundtrack, and although the first track is pretty good, the rest of the tracks aren't that great, and they've sort of got like a chilled out sort of trance music sort of vibe to it, and it doesn't really get the blood pumping to play the game. Sound effects as well are pretty weak, not the greatest to be honest. They don't exactly get on your nerves or anything like that, but they could be better. The scoring system in it is pretty basic to be honest. It does have a combo meter in that the more you shoot enemies down, the higher the combo goes, and once you stop shooting enemies it slowly starts to decrease. I don't really know how this could affect high scoring rounds, because it's pretty easy to keep it pretty high. It only resets once you die. I imagine it would maybe benefit you if you waited for the enemies to come on the screen a bit more before you shot them in order to keep the combo high, but it's pretty easy to get quite a high score. Also, if you use the focus shot, which I'm using here, instead of collecting stars, which is your points, you also get these little balls, and that actually builds up the meter in the bottom left hand corner there, and that is your smart bomb. Again, that's the one big sort of disadvantage of the game, is the smart bomb is pretty underwhelming to be honest. It's not a very good animation, but also the quantity you have of them is unbelievable. By using this feature, the focus shot, you could easily collect 11 smart bombs by the second level. Especially if you're on novice, the auto bomb feature just takes away sort of any real danger you're ever going to face in the game. So that is the main gripe with the easiness, I would suggest, is that the smart bombs are just too plenty. And also the power-ups, because as you can see from the footage here, all your stars, everything you pick up in the game automatically comes to the ship, similar to it did in Fast Striker. So the power-ups in the game that you pick up, once you die, they automatically fly back to your ship. So there's really no point in like sort of dying, to be honest, because it's not a disadvantage at all. You simply just respawn in the exact same spot with your full power-ups. So this is a huge mistake on Hukar's part, because really there's just no disadvantage to dying. Another big problem with the game is its length. To start to finish, it takes 19 minutes to finish. Level 1, 3 and 5 are exceptionally short levels, and 2 and 4 are a little bit longer. However, the reason they're extended levels is mostly because they just repeat the same enemies over and over again. It's not a huge amount of sprites in the game, a decent amount though, I don't want to be overly harsh on that. because it can't be easy coming up with enemies, brand new enemies for every single level. But certainly in level 2 I feel the level does drag on a little bit because you just seem to shoot the same enemy over and over again. So that's pretty much it, guys. It may seem like I'm being incredibly harsh on this game, and to be fair, I did have a great time playing it. It is a fun game, it's just it's not challenging enough. I really don't understand who Hucast were trying to aim the game at, because the hardcore shmup fans are just not even going to entertain this game. It will last them an afternoon, if that, and there's no replayability in it. And the casual Dreamcast fans, to be fair, the last thing they wanted was another shoot 'em up. They were crying out for a different style game, a different genre, and unfortunately they've got another shooter. So as a shoot 'em up fan myself, I was pretty happy for it to arrive, but it's by no means a great game. And if I'm completely honest, you're probably better saving your money and buying Crimson Clover on Steam. You can pick it up for around £3 and it's a much better game than this is. Like I say, not that this is a terrible game, I am being harsh on it. I would imagine Hucast will probably re-release this like they have all their previous releases, because there's a wee bit of slowdown in the game that could be fixed. Certainly on level 3 it gets pretty hectic if you start using smart bombs and that. But yeah, so that basically brings me to my last point. This probably will be the last brand new game for the Dreamcast ever. Like I said earlier, Hucast's sister company, NG Dev Team, went on record and said they're not making any more Dreamcast games due to piracy on the system. They're only going to be focusing on Neo Geo stuff. So it's only a matter of time, to be honest, before Hucast goes the same way, because they lose too much money on releasing the games. My problem with that is that Hucast have got a terrible reputation for pissing people off. One of the biggest gripes about this release is the collector's edition you were able to buy, which was a couple £100. Many people that wanted that paid for that years ago when this was first announced, sorry. And they have been stumped. If you go on their Facebook page, you'll be able to see that the collector's edition isn't being released until November. That is because they're waiting on somebody filming a Super Play DVD for it. To me, this is utter ridiculous. It's totally unacceptable to treat people like that, especially these are the people that have supported your company from the very start and was able to get this game off the ground. And they are the people that you need behind you for your next release. So I can't really see people agreeing to buy more games if that's the way you treat them. I know if I'd pay £250 for a collector's edition and wasn't going to get it for another 2 months, I would be fucking furious. But yeah, they do have plans to release Redux 2 in the future, but to be fair, they've already released that game 4 times already, so it's the last thing I'll probably buy. So as a standalone game, this is probably worth buying, only for a curiosity, to be honest. It's very similar to Bullet Soul on the Xbox 360, and it's an incredibly easy game, and it's a great game to sort of bring yourself into the genre. However, are you going to be spending £30 on a game on sort of a whim, on a curiosity? I highly doubt that. Thanks for watching, guys. I do apologise if I've been overly negative in this video. As I say, I did enjoy the game, but it is underwhelming and definitely not worth buying if you're a hardcore fan. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.